Democrats and Republicans have come to an agreement, and the government will remain open. We will have avoided a shutdown.
We're going to keep government open while we work our differences out and secure our border.
All right, here we go. The shutdown got shut down. Leaders of the House and Senate averted that shutdown just before the midnight deadline. Congress coming together to pass a short-term bill that gives lawmakers now 45 days to finalize spending. The continuing resolution means that the federal government services will remain open, workers will get paid, and no spending cuts were made. However, aid for Ukraine was not included in that bill. President Joe Biden signing the bill just before midnight. Biden said in the statement, Americans, quote, expect their government to work. While Speaker Kevin McCarthy was able to get the stopgap measure passed, challenges still remain for McCarthy as some members of his own party continue to threaten to put his speakership in jeopardy and potentially vote him out.
There's one thing you should start understanding, not just that I'll never give up, but I'm a type of conservative that wants to get things done. It's easy to be a conservative that wants to do nothing. But I believe America wants to find the conservative that can make government work efficiently, effectively, and accountable.
All right, there's House Speaker Kevin McCarthy last night. So what are the sticking points for conservatives in the House, and what happens in the next 45 days if both sides cannot reach another agreement on a spending deal and avoid another shutdown, perhaps? We want to welcome back into the program Republican Congressman Bob Good of Virginia. He is a member of the House Freedom Caucus. And Congressman, you've been at really the eye of the storm of this debate for the last couple of weeks. I want to start with what we heard from Kevin McCarthy last night. Kevin McCarthy was asked, what would you do if the members of the Freedom Caucus move against your speakership? His words were, quote, bring it. Congressman, do you intend to bring it?
Well, I would just focus on the fact that Kevin McCarthy validated the concerns that many of us raised back in January, because he did what he's always done. He just passed a major spending bill with predominantly Democrat votes. Democrats voted 209-1. And if your only goal is just to avoid any potential discomfort of a temporary shutdown at all costs, at any cost, if you'll do anything to avoid that, then you're a sure loser. And frankly, the Republican Party and Americans across the country lost yesterday, because we have demonstrated once again the Republican Party under Kevin McCarthy is not willing to fight, has not fought. The only thing he's ever fought for is to stay Speaker or to become Speaker. Quite frankly, if you agree with the record level spending that's bankrupting the country, with a $200 billion monthly deficit under a Republican majority, mind you, and if you agree with the policies, the Biden, Pelosi, Schumer policies that are in place from the $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill last December, then you love this CR. You love keeping the government open for another 45 days. And sadly, I predict that because we will no longer have the pressure of the calendar, that we won't pass our appropriation bills. There will be no incentive to do that. And sadly and unfortunately, a majority of the Republican Party, even 126-91, as you know, voted with Speaker McCarthy doing his bidding, if you will.
But as you pointed, Congressman, as you pointed out in your own tweet.
Let me finish the point. You're going to have another CR
out of time here. You're burning the clock here, Congressman.
You
pointed out in your own tweet, though, there were 126 Republicans who voted for this deal last night. So there's 126 Republicans who don't agree with you. Don't you have to clean up your own caucus before you can move forward on this?
Well, I would tell you, I voted for the all 5 of the spending bills we brought to the House floor, 4 of which passed, 1 did not. I voted for the conditional continuing resolution that we unfortunately were not able to pass on Thursday. So I have compromised. We were trying to cut the deficit this year from $2.2 trillion to $2.1 trillion, and we failed to even do that. This continuing resolution is a failure from the past. It's going to be bad for the American people. We are bankrupt. We're running a $200 billion monthly deficit. Again, you'll have another CR after this 45 days. You'll have an omnibus in December, and it'll be the fault of Republicans who didn't stand strong and fight once again.
There's a lot of people that have to wonder whether or not Vladimir Putin loved the fact that there was no Ukrainian aid in this deal. What does this say to our allies if the United States is going to pass these spending bills and then not support this country, which has been fighting Russian aggression?
I don't agree that most Americans want us to borrow from our kids and our grandkids to send an unlimited amount to Ukraine. We've sent over $100 billion already. We have no defined plan or strategy. We don't know what the limit of U.S. involvement is. It's not been explained why it's in the direct national security interest of the United States to borrow this money from our kids and grandkids to send there. Why is the United States shouldering the load versus NATO at large, or Europe for that matter? What does this look like long term? These are bordering countries. We can be against the brutal, ruthless attack by Russia, and we can be praying for Ukraine and hoping that they succeed. But Ukraine is not a member of NATO. We don't have a pledge to support them unconditionally. And so there needs to be a strategy defined. What's the limit of U.S. involvement? And frankly, is it in the U.S.'s national security interest to go to war with Russia over Ukraine? I think Russia has been decimated, depleted, emasculated, you might argue. I don't think Putin ultimately survives this because his Russian army has been exposed to not be what many people thought it might have been. But that doesn't mean we should be borrowing from our kids and our grandkids to send an unlimited amount of money to Ukraine.
But isn't the idea of supporting Ukraine that the United States doesn't have to go to war against Russia, that you would be allowing Ukraine to continue this fight, and you can have all the thoughts and prayers you want, but that's not going to buy guns and bullets and tanks for them?
Well, we've sent them, what, $113 billion already?
And that's enough?
I didn't vote for that support either.
All right, let's move on. Between now and December 17th, before this CR runs out again, you're absolutely right. We're going to be right back where we were last night in a couple of weeks. How do we avoid that? Can we avoid that?
Well, we should do what we already should have done, which is to pass the remaining 8 spending bills that Republicans have passed. I'll point out to you, Democrats have passed no spending bills in the Senate. Media friends love to say, why are Republicans shutting down the government? When Republicans pass 4 spending bills, Democrats pass 0. Now, I don't call 4 a success, but it's a closer to success than 0 is. So we should have done at most a short-term, maybe 15-day spending gap, which I would have supported. I supported a 30-day conditional spending gap because it did cut spending and it did secure our border. In this case, we got 45 days and no wins for the American people. It's just unconditional. But we should have kept the pressure on with the calendar. We should have stayed in, sort of round-the-clock session like we were the past week. We forced Speaker McCarthy to do that. We conservatives forced Speaker McCarthy to pass the 4 spending bills that have been passed. What he doesn't want to do is bring votes to the floor and force tough votes on whether or not you're going to cut spending or continue the failures of the past. And the modest spending goals that we put in place that he committed to pass back in January, and Republicans committed to voted to pass in April, we're only cutting $100 billion. That is a compromise, $100 billion. But we haven't been able to get the Speaker to lead us in even cutting $100 billion. Instead, he's going to agree to the status quo of the Democrats, which is letting down the American people and betraying the trust they placed in us when they gave us the House majority.
We got about 30 seconds here left. Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia has offered a proposal to do away with these possible shutdowns altogether, to get the government on a regular cycle. You opposed to that, to maybe extract some of the politics out of this, or do you think it would make it worse? And again, we got about 30 seconds.
Senator Kaine is complicit in all of the spending that's attributed to our $33 trillion in national debt. He never votes to cut spending. Of course, he's addicted to government. He's addicted to spending. He would want to just keep the government on autopilot so we never have even the pressure of the end of a fiscal year to force us to try to cut spending. But as long as you're willing to keep the government open at any cost, meaning unconditionally, then you're going to lose for the American people, and we're going to continue to betray the American people. It's unsustainable, the path that we're on with $33 trillion in national debt. That's why we've got record inflation. That's why interest rates are higher. That's why our credit rating has been downgraded. We can't continue to fail the American people, and Senator Kaine doesn't care about that.
He is Republican Congressman Bob Good from Virginia. Always a lively conversation, Congressman. We thank you for spending part of your morning with us. We'll talk to you again soon.